Thank you. The branches of the tree which stand downward and outward, there is present in modes of material nature, which are the objects of senses. This tree also has its roots going down, and they are bound with the tree, and these are bound to the feedback to the human society. It's the bush. The root of the state, the open of the grave, and the Danavir, which is the Gita, Ashtika, Raven, the sun of Judge came to the Gita, that is the king and the young, the Gita, no one can understand where it is, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down the tree with the weapon of passion. So doing, one must seek that which the most having storm, one never returns. And only turn to the supreme personality of family, from whom everything has begun, and in whom everything is entirely since time and and false association, who understands the eternal, who is done with material and is free from the dwelling and happiness and despair, and who knows how to attain to that eternity.
Mama, translation. That abode of mine
is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world.
Text 7. Amai vangsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana anashastra yani prakriti stani karshati. Translation. The
Living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Shriram yadavapnoti achapyukramanitishvara vihitvaitani kamyati vayurgandhan ivashayat. Translation.
The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas.
Text 9. Shotram chakshush parshanam cha rasanam granam evacha adhishtaya manaschayam vishayan upalbhavate. Translation.
The living entity that's taking another gross body obtains a certain type of ear tongue and nose and sense of touch, which are grouped with the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Text 10. Utkramantam stitam vapi punjam vadunanvitam vimudhanan pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. Translation.
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this.
And finally, text 11. Yadanto yoginas china pasyantyatmanyavastitam yatantopyakutatmano ainam pasyantya chetasaha. Translation.
The endeavoring transcendentalist, who is situated in self-realization, can see all this clearly, but those who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to.
One has to have this mood of devotion, of wanting to find out the truth, wanting to become servant of God. It's natural to be the servant of God. Natural to feel that we should please our superiors. A child knows that the parents are protecting him. See the little ducks, they follow after the mother duck. And the lambs, little baby lamb, they follow after the mother lamb. Baby kids, it's just natural. For one who's taking care of you, there's love there, then you take shelter of them and you do what they want. If they want you to come along and not eat right now, then you do that. If they want you to behave in a certain way, if they caution you, don't go over there. It's like, whenever one of the little lambs is going in the wrong place, the mother makes a sound. And the child knows, the lamb knows, I'm not supposed to go there. I'm supposed to come back. So this, not just human species, all species. So where does this come from? Where is this innate feeling of shelter and respect and love? Why do we love that? The mother and father, because they're taking care of me. They gave me life, they gave me this body. They're going to protect me. So why not have that for God? And that's the thing. Hindu Kali is so dangerous that one loses all his natural feelings and replaces them with diseased feelings and thoughts. How to exploit others, how to take advantage of them, and the bad thoughts, bad, and not to have any respect. There's no God. I don't believe in God. So many things are given to you. The body given to you. Life itself is given to you by God. Food is given to you. Air so you can breathe. Water so you can drink. Female so you can be attracted to the opposite sex. Everything is here. Given to you by God, and still we don't want to be responsible. But actually, it's our first duty. It's our only duty. It's to please Him, serve Him. That's our mission. Our mission is not just to eat and sleep and mate and defend like the animals or the insects. It's to find out who we are, find out our mission, and execute it. as best we can. We may not be so talented, but that doesn't matter. Krishna doesn't mind. Krishna just wants us to try our best. It's like a parent. He's got many children. Some of the children may have special talents, special abilities. That's nice. But the ones that don't have such special qualities, parent loves them too, because they're trying their best, do the best they can. That's all Krishna wants. He's asking for simple things. Give me a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, chant my name, always think of me. We immediately become irked. Why is he saying always think of him? You think he's better than me? We're so proud. We think nobody's, even God is not better to think of than me. Everybody's trying to get everyone else to think of themselves. This is the envy that takes us to the material world. This is why we're not qualified to stay in the spiritual world right now, because we have this diseased egotism, false ego, ahankara, mistakenly thinking that we're the center, we're the best. And we, because of this, moga cha, moga karma, no moga jnana vichedasa, everything will be baffled. Their knowledge will be baffled. They won't go to the supreme abode. They won't reach the supreme destination. They won't be able to even understand simple thing like soul being different from the body. Simple thing. The soul inside the body, the soul is, body is dead. No life. Simple thing. But because without humility, one loses a chance of understanding. The science is based on humility. Just like learning, you want to go to study physics. You have to be humble to the physics teacher, physics professor. If you're arrogant and argumentative, he'll just ask you to leave the class. You won't even be allowed to attend the class. And if you do attend the class and you have that attitude, then you won't understand anything. The attitude has to be one of respect and humility. And Krishna, who could be more respectable than Krishna? More worthy of respect than Krishna. Brahma respects him. Austomashaya sarve devarshirna dasta asito devalo vyasa swayam shaiva bhavishime. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devalo Vyasa, they're proclaiming your God. And now you're also proclaiming. And Brahma proclaims, Govindamadi Purusham Dhamam Yami. And Shiva proclaims. Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param Tasmanam Parutaram Devi Dhyanam Smarchan. He recognizes that the highest worship of Vishnu. This is natural. We can go back to the first text. You read it? Translation.
The Blessed Lord said, "There is a banyan tree which has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." Purport. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. The tree's roots grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. This process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material existence grows upward. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation.
Notice it's not an evolution that the living entities, beginning with the lowest type of living entity, and then it gradually evolves. One species becomes another species. This is not the process. And no one's ever seen such a process anyway, because it doesn't exist. But still they proclaim this theory that, first of all, they have to guess how life began because they don't know. So because they can't postulate where it came from, who have started it, and why would they start from little tiny germs, and then how would they come up and become big trees or big humans? Completely inexplicable to them. So they just make up a fantastic idea, a whole scheme that one living entity, he mutates and farther. If he has some good traits, then he's able to survive, and he expands. It is philosophy. But the Vedas don't speak like that. They say, begins from Brahma. Brahma is the first created being. He came from Garbhodakshai Vishnu, from God. And that's the connection. That connection between man or demigod. Brahma is a demigod, but demigod is also in the category of man in a sense. 400,000 species of human species. That includes the demigods. And the semi-demigods and there's a whole, in Mahabharata, there's a list of so many different species of humans. Hundreds of species are described there. These different types of Gandharvas and Yakshas, Ishachas, they're all in the human category. Even you have some like the Vanaras. Vanaras are kind of a cross between, not cross, because it's not like that, but they're monkeys, but they have traits like human beings. They can speak. So their idea, the theory is nice. Man came from monkeys. It's not exactly accurate, but they see there's some closeness and resemblance and things. So if they study Vedas, then they'll say, oh, here it is. There is some connection between man and gorillas. So it's accepted by the Vedas. If it's accepted by the Vedas, then you've really got something. Because it's supported. It has a whole system of support. How could gorilla combine with it and become human-like? Or yes, because then you have to understand the soul. Darwin's major flaw was he didn't understand the soul. He didn't accept soul. So he was trying to explain everything in terms of bodies changing and evolving. You know, just like you have a Ford, and then after some time it evolves and it becomes a Thunderbird. And then it becomes a limousine, and then it becomes a bus. This is silly. The bodies don't evolve, the soul evolves through different bodies that are already there. Species are already given at the beginning of the universe. Continue.
Now there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upward. But there is such a thing. That tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as the tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationship with it. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahma to be the root of this material tree. And from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then the three gunas, then the 5 gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, Dashendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world. If Brahma is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees, and the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is the perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality. The Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself, and that is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world.
And the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. It makes sense. And it's upside down. It's inverted or perverted. It's true. Because a reflection looks like the object, but it doesn't have all the characteristics. It has just a few. It may be green. The real object may be green, so we see something green in the reflection. But you can't taste the juiciness. You can't feel the texture. You can't smell the fragrance of the real object. You can't relate with the entities in the reflection like you can relate to the entities in reality. So that explains why everyone is having such a difficult time being happy and having a fulfilling life with others. Because we're trying to enjoy each other in a very superficial way through the reflection. Say I'm a reflection on the image, and you're another reflection. So we're trying to enjoy each other as reflections. I'm not this body. I'm not this reflection. And you're not that reflection. How can we make some kind of a satisfying relationship? Doomed to failure. But on the spiritual world, on the spiritual platform, it can be done. And there's a key point here. That Krishna is the Purusha and Prakriti are the living entities. All living entities are Prakriti. Prakriti means female. Just like we have an example of that. Bees and all the drones. One queen bee and everybody else worker bee. They work for her. Amazing. We have some examples here. They're all happy. You never hear any one group of the bees, they rebelled and they attacked the other. No, they get along very nicely. And the queen, she satisfies them. If that can happen on the material platform, then what? Just imagine on the spiritual platform. Krishna is the most attractive. He maintains everyone. Eko bahanam yobadati kaman. Nityanam chetanam. The one eternal, supreme living entity maintains all the others who are his supporter. They're meant to serve it. And then it seems so silly trying to enjoy this material world. We've been wasting our time trying to get satisfaction out of a reflection. I'm trying to eat some food by licking the reflection. I'm trying to love some person by a reflection. Doesn't work. We think music is a great thing, and it is a great thing, but the music we have here is just a reflection of the music in the spiritual world. We're thinking that, how can I give up this attraction I have to music and attraction I have to so many things? How can you give them up? Because it's like billions of times better. The real music, the real taste of food, the real relationship of love, the real knowledge, the real accomplishment. Everything in the reality, the eternal. That's why there's no material time there. Because material time destroys everything. If your relationship is working on the material time factor, then it's just ticking away. Relationship would be over soon. Body dwindles. How can you love? It's difficult to love someone whose body's all dwindled and shriveled up and can't do anything, can't hear, can't talk. And they're also thinking the same thing about you. So what kind of, how can we be satisfied that way? But in the spiritual world, even there, you can be the parent of Krishna and have Krishna eternally your child and go on eternally serving without, we think that the relationship must have getting old, die, birth, growth, reproduction. That's not how it is in the spiritual world. Everything is eternal. You don't have to go through all these changes. It's difficult for us to understand. But as we hear from Krishna and the Vedas, the saintly persons, it becomes possible. We can understand it by Krishna's grace. And the non-devotees, they cannot even understand. Like it says in Bhagavad Gita, some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, some hear of him as amazing. And others, they can't understand him at all. Just can't understand. And we see most of the world doesn't understand this principle of the soul, being different than matter. But it's so simple to understand when you chant Hare Krishna, you hear Bhagavad Gita in a submissive way. It becomes so easy. And everything becomes easy. Relationships become easy because you're not trying to exploit the opposite of the other party. You're actually thinking the other party is your friend from the beginning. In the material world, we're thinking, this is an object of my exploitation. I'm going to get money from them. I'm going to get praise. They're going to make me happy. Some way, either by showing me this or giving me that or serving me in some way, praising me or entertaining me. Everything is for my gratification. Everything is an object of my exploitation. I don't care whether it's his property or whose property it is. It should be used for my pleasure. You see this in someone like Duryodhana. His character is very exemplary. How he thinks everything is meant for his pleasure. Even someone else's kingdom, someone else's rights. He doesn't care about those. He doesn't care about their others' rights. He just wants what for himself. And just imagine, he's the personification of the Kali Yuga, Duryodhana, stated in the scriptures. He is the personification of Kali. Not surprising that Battle of Kurukshetra took place. It was all because of Duryodhana. The devotees are never responsible for world wars or anything. Yudhishthira was happy to let him have the kingdom. Arjuna was happy to give the kingdom to him. But Duryodhana was so greedy, he wouldn't even allow his brothers to have an inch of land so they could rule you. He wouldn't even give them as much land as you could fit under a pin. That's Duryodhana's mood. And that's our mood in Kali Yuga. We're following in the footsteps of Duryodhana. Therefore, there's war, hatred, exploitation, falsity. Just look at Duryodhana. How Duryodhana behaves with her. And who is his friend? Shakuni. Uncle Shakuni. Their job was just to cheat and take everything for themselves. But so how are you going to change that? The best thing is to become Krishna conscious, change yourself, and that'll have an influence on changing others. Look what one pure devotee did. In 11 years. Of course, his lifetime before that was extraordinary. I'll say he prepared, lifetime of preparation. It's a good chapter title. But one pure devotee, he's brought about millions. People now, because of the presence of a pure devotee, they have the aspiration to become pure devotees. They have the aspiration to become good people, to give up their sinful activities. And so the more there are, if they live the life and they present it to others, as part of living, part of getting Krishna consciousness, you have to be willing to give it to others too. Otherwise, if you don't give it to others, then you'll lose it. You can't be selfish. You have to give it to others too. Make some arrangement. And that's why being in a movement like this is so nice, because the whole movement is arranged for giving it to others and taking care of it, protecting it ourselves and giving it to others. That's our mission. We should get Krishna consciousness, learn how to get it from those who have it, and then try to give it to others who don't have it. And our life is complete. We've accomplished all the missions that we were hoping to accomplish, that liberate this group, liberate the salvation for this group. No liberation without Krishna consciousness is not possible. Because we're bound up in an illusion. How can one whose hands are all tied up, how can he untie anyone else's hands? He has to have his own hands untied. He has to become free from illusion, free from bondage. Then he can go around and help others. Then he can really have a good time going around helping others. Because he can do it with such enthusiasm. And Krishna gives him so much facility. Look at Prabhupada. He came with no money and no followers. Nothing, not even a visa. He could just go for a few days. An old body, and no support. The government, when India didn't support him. Luckily, one lady, elderly lady, she was the owner of a steamship line. She was pious, and she appreciated Prabhupada's books, so she gave him free. She wasn't going to do that. He asked her for a free ticket so he could sit in one of her cargo ships and get a ticket to America. And she was willing to do it, but then she thought, if I do this and he dies, how's that going to look for me? I'm not saying she thought only how's, I don't mean that. But it would be also quite a responsibility. So she thought, like a mother or daughter, that I shouldn't let him go, because if he were my father, I wouldn't I wouldn't let him go. He's sick. But then Prabhupada said, if you're my daughter, if your father begs you for something, then you should give it also. So she agreed, and she let him go. And it was glorious for her. It was a wonderful thing. She's famous, Samati Maraji. And her ship, the Jaladuta, it may become the most glorified ship in the world. Otherwise, our most famous ship is Titanic or the Santa Maria and the Pinto and the Nina, thank you. Those are famous ships, but this will be, the Jaladuta will be the most famous ship. If you ever go down to Boston, you have to visit the pier where Prabhupada came in. When he came in on the Jaladuta to see the pier there. Sit down and have kirtan and read about it. Very moving experience. Because Prabhupada came, help us on the ship and change the world. Such a thing can happen. And if our lives change, we may not be able to do so much. But Prabhupada expects us to do. I remember in Mayapur, at the festival, either with 76 or 77 Mayapur. And Prabhupada was speaking, and he said, so I am one man, and I have created 10,000 disciples. So if each disciple makes 10,000 also, and you should be able to do it, you're young. I started when I was old, but you can start now. And if each one of those 10,000 makes 10,000 disciples, how many is that? 100 million. So 100 million, and then he said, he amazed everyone. Then he said, and if each one of them made 10,000, so no one could grasp. I mean, no one could even imagine how Prabhupada was thinking. He was thinking that every one of his disciples should make 10,000 disciples. So some have done it. Some of our devotees have done it. Few. But it's possible. Not through our own efforts. We can't do it by ourselves. That we can make devotees or turn people's. No, we can act as an instrument. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. By acting as Krishna's assistant. People want to become famous for helping poor people. Nice. But the best way to help the poor people is to help the one that knows how to help the poor people. Krishna knows exactly how to do it. Who could be better at helping poor people than Krishna? He's maintaining all living entities. So put your ability, put yourself at his disposal. Assist him. You'll be the best person to help the poor people. You'll be able to do the most welfare activity. You'll be able to accomplish the most exciting things. You like adventure, you like excitement. Who could be more adventuresome than Krishna? Arjuna had to be ready at a moment's notice to do what Krishna wanted. Krishna said, okay, get in my chariot. He took him out of the universe. See Mahavishnu. To show him where the sons were being kept or stolen. That's adventure. Or okay, now we're going to go and have this Kurukshetra war. You're going to be. Arjuna was making plans. I'm going to go off and I'm retiring from this whole business. I don't care about the fighting business anymore. I'm going to go live in the forest. And Krishna, no, we're going to go. Come on, get up. prepare to fight. Get your weapons. We have to fight this war. Battle. We can't let Duryodhana run the show. Excitement. Whatever you're looking for, it's there in Krishna. In Krishna. Being a servant of Krishna gives you everything you could ever want in any field. You want to be famous? Well, if you're a friend of Krishna, who's more famous than Arjuna? He's famous. Even Disney, they did a movie, an animated movie, Arjuna. So they have to admit that Arjuna is the friend of Krishna, the friend of God, most famous. Radha Krishna. I don't know of any couple that has more paintings of them. You ever seen a couple? Yeah, Radha Krishna, most divine couple. So you have a friend who's your dearmost friend, who is the richest, most beautiful, most intelligent, most merciful, powerful. What do you want more than that? And not only do you get his friendship, but you get the friendship and association of all his friends and all his relatives, his associates. And you get to stay with him in his abode, as he says here. Read tonight. Tad dhamam paramamama. Natad ba, text 6. Natad ba sayate suryo, shashanko napavakaha, yad gatva nivartante, tad dhama paramamama. In that abode of mine, not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it, never returns to this material world. You won't want to come back. Sometimes people would say they want to go to the moon, and Prabhupada said, yes, go to the moon and stay there. I said, no, we don't want to stay there. We just want to go and come back. But if you go to a better place and you don't want to come back to a lower place, if you lived in the ghetto with gang fights and all kinds of dangers and unspeakable things, you don't want to go live there again. You want to live in a better place and try to help others get to that better place. Any questions?
So if I realize that I'm stuck in this exploitive mentality that you mentioned earlier, then what is the first step of correcting that?
I think you've already taken a few steps towards correcting it. Distributing books, that's really helpful to people. It's giving them, Krishna says, no one more dear to me. Preach my message. Preach this Bhagavad Gita. So if you're doing that, giving out Krishna's words, that's not exploiting people. That's helping them in the best possible way. So just make lifetime plans for spreading Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada always said. Go on making your lifetime plans for spreading Krishna consciousness. Don't think after some time I'll embezzle some money and I'll put some money aside in a Swift bank account and then I'll go use an Albanian island in the Greek islands and have sense gratification. No, don't think like that. That's exploitation. Think I'll give everything I've got, every word. Manasa deo geo jo kichumor arpilu tuapade nandakishar. I'll give my mind, my body, my home, my family, whatever I've got, I will offer to Krishna. And then also give, it's like Bali Maharaj, he gave all the wealth he had. Then there was still room for one more step. He said, well, I have my head. If you want, you can put your foot on my head. But actually, he wanted to give everything to Krishna, but what happened? Bali Maharaj was given, he had to go down to Sutala, but Krishna stayed there to protect him. So he wanted to give everything to Krishna, but Krishna wants to give everything to his devotee. His devotee won't exploit it though, and won't use it for sense gratification. If Krishna gives him something, that's considered to be, he should accept that, but not for his own possession or enjoyment, but for serving Krishna. It's like Prabhupada. Prabhupada, whatever money he got, he used for spreading Krishna consciousness. So Krishna gave. He gave him so much because he wouldn't misuse it.
Hare Krishna. So we were speaking about the connection between man and gorilla, and I was just wondering, what is this connection between man and gorilla?
Connection is you have Dvivida gorilla, and you have the Vanar race. So there are these races that are part of the 400,000 human species. And so the gorilla monkeys are considered within the human, some aspects of the human. Darwin even took his father as a monkey. Any other?
Brahma is the topmost planet of the material world, and is living so long, and he's not guaranteed entry into the into Goloka Vrindavan. So what hope is there for me? He's such a powerful entity that created the whole universe, and he's not guaranteed entry. So what hope is there for me?
Guaranteed if he engages in pure devotional service. And in fact, they can even go and visit the spiritual planets, demigods. And even while they're doing their service here, they can go and then they come back. So, in one sense, our position is even more favorable, you could say, because we don't have to live out another 300. He's half his life is over now. So he has 155 trillion years left to go in this, to manage this universe. But we can go back within a few years if we take up devotional service. We follow in the footsteps of Brahma. Brahma is the head of our sampradaya, first disciple of Krishna. So We're very proud to be in his line. Narad Muni is in his line. Vyasadev, Shukadev. It's all in the same line. So everyone can go back to God easily. It's not difficult. Lord Chaitanya made it so simple. Therefore, Lord Brahma comes as Brahman Haridas. Thakur Haridas. Incarnation of Brahma.
Sometimes I get a little bit hung up on doing services purely or chanting with heart or chanting pure devotional service. Is that something that I'm supposed to be like conjuring up in the moment, like bring it out of myself, or
That's what?
like kind of like bring it out of myself with some encouraging words? Or
It's okay to have that. It's nice to have that feeling of trying to do everything purely. But at the same time, we can't get too much caught up with that. Just doing everything purely, otherwise we don't do it. Because we may not do very many things so purely. Like someone told me he said, better chant one time Hare Krishna purely than all these rounds of counting. So his idea was, he'll just chant once. Purely, but I think there's better odds of getting, you might not get it on one chant purely, so better try 16 rounds worth, and maybe one of those will, well, that's what the spiritual master recommended. So that's purely. We should try our best to chant purely 16 rounds at least. That attempt, that effort to do that every day and to rise early as Prabhupada requested a lot of things. He gave us a lot of things to do purely. Purely take prasadam, pure vegetarian, pure prasadtarian, no eat meat, fish, or eggs, no illicit sex, no, a lot of no's, a lot of things you can't do, but that's what it means to be purely trying to follow all of them as best we can. And Prabhupada said that he considered his disciples to be good examples of pure devotees. Those who were strictly following. Those who seriously took up the path. And he would praise them and showcase them, especially in India. He would show them, he'd say, look at them. They are such nice devotees. And people appreciate. Pure vegetarian, no onions, no garlic. So many things that, and reading Vaishnava literature, not Mayavad philosophy and a little bit of here and dabbling and pure Vaishnava. Pure chanting. We don't worship demigods, on the side and things like that. Pure worship of Krishna. You don't think Krishna will take care of you? He can't take care of you. You have to praise some demigod. No, Krishna told the residents of Vrindavan, you just worship Govardhan Hill. And you don't have to worship Indra. All the demigods will be satisfied if you worship Krishna. So we try our best, do the best, and Krishna will help you. Try your best. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.